Hello there, I'm Julie.
I'm Neti.
And welcome to your Christmas bauble video tutorial. Christmas wouldn't be Christmas without baubles.
No, and knitted ones are especially good because they're not breakable.
Well, exactly. They're on trend, really on trend. But also, if you've got a little granddaughter wandering around, or two, one of 1 year and one of 4 years, that like to pull all the baubles off the tree, they can't do much damage with these.
That's a good idea.
How do we make them, Neti?
Well, if you can knit stocking stitch, you can make one of these bauble. It's basically a flat piece of knitting, as we can see with this sample I've got here, that we're going to seam up at the back and fill with some toy stuffing, and then we can decorate it how we like. This actually starts off really simply with just 10 stitches, and then we're increasing at both throughout with knit into the front and back, which is KFB, which is one of our regular videos, and then a straight section of stocking stitch, and then decreasing across the top the same number of rows for an even shaped bauble with knit two together. So that's really all you need to do. The rest of it is sewing, really. So we're just going to sew up the bauble.
Excellent.
So,
but the complete pattern is going to be
all the rows will be on
exactly.
on the website. So I've got the stitches on my needle still, and so I've got I've got a long tail end here, probably a little bit longer than I need, but this is what I'm going to sew up my seam with. Mm-hmm. So I'm just, first of all, to get it off the needle, I'm just going to run my needle, my darning needle, this is the one with my large eye and my blunt tip, through the stitches at the bottom here, because I'm going to use this to gather them up at the top. So you can get so far and then you run out of needle. So that's half of it done, and then the rest of it. So just back underneath, and you can use the bottom of the needle as a guide because you want to try and avoid splitting your stitches if you can. And this is also on 4mm needles and DK yarn, so you're bound to have some in your stash, and you certainly don't have to make it in ordinary red. You could make it in all sorts.
Absolutely. I mean, you can use up old scraps, or you can invest in some lovely sparkly, Christmassy, very festive wool there.
And fluffy eyelash yarn, put stripes in it, whatever you like. Anyways.
And you've sewn little sequins on.
I put sequins on one.
But I love these little sort of snowflakes.
Really simple bit of embroidery.
Yeah, or try a bit of intarsia, maybe a little star.
Check the pattern, check the website for various patterns, and there's all sorts of ideas there.
And send us in your photographs. We want to see them for the Facebook
page. Yes, inspiration, please.
Absolutely.
So, plain old bauble, here we come. So I've literally just run my needle through all of these stitches, so I can now take those off the needle and gather them up by just literally pulling on the end. So that's pulled that up pretty tightly, and I'm just going to join that and just do a little securing stitch. So kind of just go through it twice will do for now, being careful not to split my yarn. And I'm now going to sort of sew this up halfway before I start my stuffing. So I'm going to use mattress stitch. So I just kind of need to put my ends quite close together so I can see what I'm looking for, and then go from one side to the other, trying to find the middle bar of each stitch, which with this finer yarn is a bit hard to show, but we have got a tutorial on mattress stitch.
Yeah. Could you overstitch if you
could, if you wanted to. Mattress stitch is a little bit more invisible.
It makes it flatter, doesn't it, mattress?
Yeah, it's entirely up to you how you want to seam it up, depending on how many grandchildren or cats you've got around the place who are likely to be at your stuffing, at your baubles rather. So the cats will definitely be at the stuffing, won't they? Given half a chance.
Talking of stuffing, I mean, you're going to be using proper toy stuffing, which is good because it's all hygienic, obviously. But if you haven't got that handy, what I use to stuff toys and things is actually old pillows, because I'm allergic to feathers, so all my pillows are hypoallergenic anyway. And I just, if they're not, as long as they're not too old, cut them open, spray the stuffing with Febreze, or there are other fresheners available, and then let it dry, and then that that makes a really, really good, you're recycling, which is always great, a really good stuffing. And also another tip, if I know some people have written in and said, love to know how to stuff, you know, sort of as well as possible, all toys. If you're worried that the white stuffing might show and you don't want that, pop it in. We used to have pop socks. I don't think they exist anymore. The bottom of an old pair of tights or whatever, and then it's really dark and it's less likely to show.
Yeah, absolutely. Right, so now I've kind of sewn up probably about halfway along the back of my seam, and I'm just going to use this gap here to pop my stuffing in. Now, these do take a surprising amount of filling, actually, so I think we're going to use probably half of this bag, believe it or not. So I'm just going to kind of take a bit and just tease it.
Yeah.
And so you'd want to do this if you were doing toys anyway, but if you've got little limbs to fill, then what's really useful is to use either the blunt end of your knitting needle to kind of just get round down into those awkward spots and things.
And you can also add there's some lavender, dried lavender, if you want,
nice.
because then when you give the bauble a squeeze, it emits this lovely fragrance of lavender.
I like that idea. So I'm going to just take the stuffing and I'm really just going to work it into the gap. And it's started to take shape already, which is quite pleasing. But
you want it nice, and I notice you've got this nice and fat with stuffing. You don't want to skimp on your stuffing.
No, don't skimp on your stuffing. So I've got another bit of teased out fibre filling here. So this is kind of 2 handfuls worth once I've sort of teased it out a bit going into this. And I'm just kind of trying to work it in evenly all the way round. I mean, you can squish them about, they're only little balls anyway.
Do you know, I've just had another idea, Nettie. As well as lavender, you could also, you can get those bags of sort of, I don't know what it's like, Christmas potpourri that smell lovely, clovey and orangey and all of that. That would, and cinnamony. That would be nice if you wanted to pop some in the very centre.
Yes, I think if you put them in like a little organza sachet or something.
Very good.
Then they won't work their way out with all the squeezing and tactile love that your baubles are going to be receiving. So I think we're pretty much done there, really.
Yeah.
So at the bottom I've gathered up my stitches at the bottom because I threaded through my tail end, and now I'm seaming up the back here, so I think that'll do for now. So I'm just going to carry on with my mattress stitch, working evenly across the row ends, finding that elusive bar. I mean, it is only a Christmas bauble, it's not the most...
And what's great is that you can just do it with simple stocking stitch. You don't need double-ended needles. You're not doing it on a round. It's very simple. And once you get good at it, you can probably make a couple of them in an evening.
Yeah, I think you could, definitely. And, make a whole set. And actually, they're quite nice little presents you could
really nice presents. You could theme them, couldn't you?
Yeah, or match your decor.
Yeah, definitely.
So I'm at the end.
The world is your bauble.
The world is your bauble. So I'm at the end now. So I've got my seam all done, and I'm going to just make sure I've got a stitch at the top which goes across nicely. So there we go, in that side and in this side. I feel we would have some Christmas music, Julie.
We definitely need some Christmas music. We definitely need a bit of Rudolph the Red-Nosed.
So obviously I've still got a gap at the top here. So I'm just going to do the same kind of thing and do a little sort of tighter securing stitch there over to here, and then run it round just in and out of the stitches, kind of near the top where you can't really see it. And pull that tight. And luckily it's all red, so we can just go in and out easily. Back to the start. And then you might, if you're worried you still might have a little hole, you can just kind of go right across the middle.
Great.
Just to...
And then of course you've got your your
You've got
yarn
hanging
as your hanging,
Yeah,
which is
so
great.
I would just do like a little knot here as well at this point to make it extra secure. And that is your Christmas bauble. If I attach my end there, I'm all
Perfect.
ready for my sequins.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.